Okay, so Dakota, let me just split these so I can. Okay, here's your idea so far. Okay, so no writing there, then we need to address it. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So now, what do we have here? So we have a huge amount of stores closing their doors permanently um, due to the increased use of online retail shopping. Okay, we get that. That's given, right? I think everybody understands that retail stores are closing because it's far more convenient to shop online. It creates a lesser carbon footprint. There are a lot of pros for shopping online. There are also a lot of cons. I would expect that you're going to present both. Okay, the thing I want to get to is this is there's a lot of interesting things that you can present here. Okay, for example, Forever 21, I just read an article yesterday that says Forever 21 has, I don't remember the exact figure, but it was something like 13. I might be hacking this completely, but I thought it was something like 13. It was several million dollars um, of unclaimed funds due to the sale of gift cards in their retail stores that were never turned in. Okay, so that's I don't know if that's relevant or not. I just thought I'd share that because I just read it yesterday. So perhaps that's not relevant. But at any rate, it's a fun fact to know, isn't it? Anyway, so we have all these stores closing due to things like Amazon and other online retailers. So my question and what I'm trying to drive you towards is this: two things, and I think that there are two major considerations that will, to a very high degree, determine the success of this project. And those two things are your statement, mission statement, so to speak, and your target audience. Okay, define the target audience to the nth degree, okay, because it's going to drive your design decisions. And obviously, we communicate to 16-year-old males quite differently, both visually and verbally, than we communicate to 60-year-old female executives that make over $200,000 a year. Do you see what I'm saying? So really define that target audience to the nth degree. The next thing is to create a sort of mission statement, or as the research indicates, the summary of research indicates a single statement that summarizes your key idea. So what's the takeaway? What do you want the viewer to do with this information? What is your call to action? Okay, let's determine that, because that will drive the statistical, I'm sorry, that will drive the data analysis, which will drive your presentation of graphics depicting that analysis of data, right? So we need to figure out exactly what are we trying to say. We're not just showing information, okay? And I think a lot of people have this misconception of infographics as just showing information. Okay, so for example, there's an infographic in the class that I think, this to me, it's included as an example. This is not an infographic. It's a simple illustration with a bunch of textual facts. That's not an infographic, right? So what we need to do is move into more of this visual representation of the data that you have found associated with the call to action, or the key statement associated with your project, okay? So what I'd like to see you do working towards your final submission for this week is to do that. Define your target audience. Be very, very specific here, okay? Define your target audience, and let's get a statement of intent. What exactly is the intent here? What's your call to action? What are you trying to accomplish with the infographic? Okay, it's not just about exploration presentation. It's about your take on analysis and what you're doing with the statistics to encourage the viewer to act in one way or another. Okay, so for example, you could say, all right, the increased occurrence of online shopping reduces local economies, or reduces the tax base associated with local economies. All right, and that way you can say, okay, this is how online shopping is basically destroying local economies that have major retailers as their hub. Okay, and the call to action would be here is something like when you shop online, realize that you're affecting local economies, okay, or something like that. That's just an example off the top of my head. So that might not be the best example, but you can kind of see where I'm going, right? So again, it's a great idea. It's a great start. But let's address those two things as we move forward. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. Okay, thank you very much, Dakota.